So you want to start DMing. And the first thing you might think about is that, hey, I have to get all of this stuff. We've got digital tools. I need to make maps. I need to paint. I need to draw stuff. I need to have a good mic. I need to have these voice programs. And I need to have a subscription to this service that provides me with that. I need to have the books. I need to have this, yada, yada, yada. Thing about this and why it can be bad is that you simply do not need any of that. D&D, for most gaming and gaming groups and campaigns and whatever, can be done on the cheap. And doing all of this extra stuff, especially before you've even started, it's kind of like buying your first exercise bicycle, but you're buying not only the bike for a ridiculous sum of money, but you're also buying the little track yoga pants, like the helmet, the super speed glasses, the pulse watch, and all that stuff, right? Before you even had your first bike ride, and then you find out, hey, this isn't that fun. It isn't fun at all, actually. I'm just not enjoying riding this bike. I advise you strongly to start DMing almost as fast as possible. If you find some corner of what you're doing enjoyable, then it probably is something that you would want to continue with. If you start with buying all the extra stuff, maybe you should, I don't know, write a book, just write a world, like world build and stuff like that. But the important thing is to start. I think a lot of us end up in a situation where we just keep doing stuff and we don't game. That's the core part of what we want to do for most of us, I think. But what we do is we kind of end up in this feedback loop of doing all of these extra activities where we don't actually game. We're just we're making maps, we're writing essays and worlds and myths and pantheons and whatever the heck before we actually get to the game, to the table, have a player group that actually wants to play, and then we actually play for 3 hours. And especially to have a game group that does not only play 1 or 2 sessions, we play a couple of sessions. We get past level 5. We actually get to see characters go on a journey and grow, or complete an adventure or whatever. And I think a lot of that has to do with the following. We build these massive goals in front of us that we want to do this. We want to be like this person. We want to be Matt Mercer. We want to be Mulligan. We want to be, all these great, awesome people, right? But they have been doing this for so long. You don't need to be that to actually run a game that is enjoyable both for you and for other people. Same with all this stuff. You don't need this stuff. Making a map can be as hard and as easy as you make it out to be. When starting out, the only thing you need is the following. Look at this. This is a pen. Or pencil, I guess. You got this rubber thing. Why don't I know what this is called? This thing. Eraser. That's what it's called. And then you need just a piece of paper to draw on, right? The thing here is that when I draw here, most people have paper. They more often than not have these things. And that's that. You don't need anything else. Then the prime kind of idea behind a map in a role-playing game is to show your players in a visual way what the hell is going on. Where am I? Where are the enemies? What's in between us and what's around us? That's the general gist of a map. To do this, you don't need all of these fancy 3D softwares where you have to move your tokens and yada yada yada. You just need pen and paper. believe it or not, people play this game when there was only pen and paper and the players had to draw the rooms and all that stuff. Don't get hung up on all the swag that you think you need, because you need very little. When I started out, we had paper. I had no idea what a grid was. I had basically a vague understanding of how far things were, and then we just winged it. And we had a blast. Nobody knew what the hell was going on or how everything was supposed to be working, but we played, and it seemed to be going fine. But most importantly, it was fun, right? And we sat down and we actually started playing instead of, doing other stuff. And I was also a teenager, so trying to find a way to to finance that would be very difficult. You can have all the D&D tool swag in the world and still be a terrible DM, which isn't very, that's nice to say, but you can, right? The other thing is that you can have nothing. But I kid you not, if you leave a pen of paper and a pencil with barely or nothing, it will make an awesome game for you. And that's kind of the core at this video, right? The game is a skill to learn. The DM is a skill to learn, and to become better at it, you have to do it. We talked about the cyclist buying all this stuff, right? And then you might ask, well, okay, Marcus, what should I do then? Well, start cycling, start playing games, and then piece by piece, you can start adding stuff to your kind of repertoire. If I notice that, hey, I'm enjoying cycling, or hey, I'm enjoying D&D, maybe I should pick up a book. Maybe I should pick up, I don't know, a way for me to draw maps that I find enjoyable. Then sure, go for it. Or maybe you want a software to save stuff about your world instead of just having it in random little textbooks that I had for years when I started running. I just had weird little, hold on, I'll try to find it. I just had this stuff, right? I just had stuff like this. And this was just where I wrote up everything. I drew a little map, wrote a little text, and that was that. Costs almost nothing. I was in school at the time, and then we used this, and then, I just used it not for studying, and instead just used it for D&D. But you need to focus on the following things. Enjoyment. How is the enjoyment of you and your players? This thing that I'm thinking about buying. Say that I want a 3D making map software that costs a pretty penny. How much enjoyment will that give me and my players? Are we all thinking, ooh, 3D maps, this sounds awesome. I want it. It's the best thing since the internet. Then maybe you should invest, right? Maybe you feel like, I'm so excited about making maps where we can look from and turn around and their scale up and down. Then sure, go ahead, do it. But if you feel like, I'm just getting this because I saw a DM use it and I think it looked cool, but I don't know really how to do it, or I don't know if I'm gonna find enjoyment from actually making these maps. Or maybe you start and you just feel like it's a slog, it doesn't feel fun to draw or make these maps. Then maybe you should ask yourself, who is this for? Is this adding to our enjoyment or not? Number 2, time. Factor in the amount of time you're spending on the DM tool versus the stuff that you're getting out of it in game. How much time are you spending on doing this stuff or playing around with it versus how much are you actually using it in game? Big example for this is world building. A lot of people world build a shit ton before actually starting. They think that they need to figure out from the ancient time to Renaissance a way of history before they can just plop your players in a dungeon that are filled with goblins and a magic item. most stuff, like I'll be totally transparent here, most of the time it doesn't come up. Like players know what a goblin is, you do as well, and players know what a cool magical item is, and they say, oh, cool. Or they might know, like, oh, my character has this backstory, this is in the backstory. That's how they make their mark on the world, right? They have their backstory, they have their character, and that's what they're gonna know. All the other world stuff, that's just extra. If you find that they like that lore stuff, that's awesome, great, very good player. We like those, the lore nerds. But I will say most players I've played with don't really care, right? They just want, like, the world lore stuff is one thing, the story is another. Most people care about this, most people don't care too much about that, but they might. A few people do, but not the majority. Third thing, money. So before spending your hard-earned cash, think about how much does this cost, especially if it's a monthly fee, right? Those things add up after a long while. And if you're going to invest in a subscription that you forget to cancel and that just keeps ticking and you're not using it, and then you start dreading to use it, maybe you should think, well, just like, what, do I actually need this? Like, this amount of money, how much will it give? We can also look at like physical stuff, right? I think there is kind of like a collector thing there, maybe, that like at least you have something that you could resell, I guess, but that tends to be kind of hard, especially with value lost and so on. Like miniatures, physical terrain. Say if you want to like splurge out and get Dwarven Forge like terrain every session, it is going to cost you a hefty sum of money, because that thing isn't cheap. Mercer uses it a lot, right? Because that's a production, right? It's a high quality, like dramatic production where they have a budget. But me, as normal people with a everyday job, we kind of should think one step before actually purchasing. I'm guilty of not doing that a bunch of times, which, like, buying tools I never really use. I have, I think, let's see here, 5+ map making softwares. I use one currently, and I have switched so many times, and I've never been happy with most of them. But I think I found one that I like now. But like, I bought all of those, and I had subscriptions to some of them, and it just ticked money. And I dreaded the process of making the maps. The players, I think, enjoyed them, but how much did it add? How much different would it have been if we just used this hacking thing, right? A paper thing, or if you're playing online, just the paint. Like, honestly, it's not too bad. Or you can even take this thing and draw on it and scan in, or take a photo with your cell phone, and then bingo, you got a map. Number 4, usability. How easy is this thing to use? How much use will you get out of it? 2 parts of that same kind of thing. So how much use will you get out of it? Well, that's in game, right? So many times we think about it out of game. Maybe we shouldn't do that. How much do we use it in game? If I bought a setting collection service where it saves all my information about everything in my setting, how much does that come up? Do I use it when players ask? Do I search through it? Do they search it? And is it actually used, or is it just there as some kind of enigma that nobody looks at? Because then maybe, no, it's not that good. But if you're actually using it in a lot of game, like players are looking up stuff about like the world or your characters, like a wiki, perfect. And if you're using it in your prep, so like, I can't remember this person, and then you know their name, but like not their station or whatever, you search it in and you use it. in sessions. And perfect. That's a good tool. It's helping you time as well. So the use of time in the session. If you're playing and you're spending too much time finicking with the tool, you really need to reevaluate the worth of that. Say you're not running an important encounter, like this is just a little goblin patrol encounter, whatever. You have a physical terrain, right? That takes a while to put forward, especially if you haven't prepared it, and you have to stand there and Lego your way through the terrain. It takes a while. It takes a sizable chunk of the session sometimes. Or if you're using some other tool and you're trying to make a map or looking something up or making something, if it takes a couple of minutes, it stops the flow of the game. That's bad. If it takes 10 minutes or more, then it's a full-on break. Do you want that? Is that good? Or say we're getting an encounter. I have to find a blank page here. All right, I got a blank page. Then you get on an encounter. I could just say, okay, hello everybody. There's a goblin patrol. You're in this room. There's a door here. There's a door here. You're here. You're here. Or the goblin patrol is here. G, and this is party. All right, you're there. They were there. And in between here, there's a massive chasm. Wow, that's cool. If you drop down here, you will die. That's bad. But in the middle of it, there's a little rope bridge. That's cool. And there's also rocks that are around here. Now, if I would have used miniatures, this would have been much better, because then they could move this. But hey, it works. And then I say, roll initiative. What did that take? I don't know, but a couple of seconds, right? You get the gist. I even had some terrain here, like a fucking thing in the way, some cover. I kind of you're here, they're here, you're here. There's doors. Go at them. Doesn't stop the flow of the game at all. It would have taken me the same time to do theater of the mind. I'm not a big proponent of theater of the mind, I think. But I'm a very visual person. If I don't see anything, I have a hard time grasping it, which is kind of ironic because I'm playing a, D&D, which kind of just make believe in your head. Last thing, number 5, is it taking away from your brain power? This sounds weird, but it's important. So when you're running a game, you are thinking about a bunch of stuff all at the same time, and you're juggling a bunch of plates. If you have a tool, that's just another plate that you're juggling, and it's mostly annoying, and you're not even using it, and the tool that's supposed to make your life easier is just adding more plates to juggle, throw it out. It's not good. Just yeet it. Because Exhibit A, this thing, how this could have been done easier if I had made a map in my little PC map making software. I would have just had this prepared. That would have been good, right? That would have been easy. Then it would have been one less plate to juggle. Now I did this live, and it was some brain power there, not a lot. It's a square room and a chasm in the middle, but some brain power was used. Now, if you're using a software to mix music that you're all tabbing, trying to keep track of, then you also have a wiki running in the background, a map making thing over there, and you've got, I don't know, a voice modulator on the side. Your brain is going to split apart in 1,000 pieces. You're not going to cope. And what happens then? You're a bad DM. I'm sorry, but that's going to happen, because if you're not thinking about what the hell is happening in the game, you're being a worse DM. Another thing to think about. The people making these products, tools, and softwares, and whatever, they are companies. Now, not to throw political theory on you, but they want to make money, and they want you to consume, for most of them, as much as possible. they're a company. They're there to make money, and they want to have your dollars. The risk there, they're probably amazing people and all fun and yada yada yada. But the risk is that it can influence that you stop running your games. I'll try to explain. There are like this thing that we're talking about in this video. It has to do with like an ill effect of stopping people from continuing to run games. I'll try to explain. Imagine this. You want to start running and you have that initial hurdle to cross to start running games. And you gotta, prepare, read by the rules, and buy at least dice and stuff like that, right? But when you have done that, you're hitting the road running. You start running games. When you build up these expectations for yourself, it's gonna be harder to continue to run, because say if I expect myself to make my own maps, it's a big ask. Like for every session I have to make a map, or 2 or 3 even. It's quite a lot of work. And if I also have to have some kind of playlist of music, it's another thing. If I also have to update the wiki before every, encounter or after every session, it's another thing to do. If I also then have to make art for some reason, that's a big ask. I'm gonna stop running games, because you might have the energy to do these 4 things one session. Can you do 2? No, then the art starts, disappearing. But then you feel bad about it. It's like, shit, I used to make my own art. I'm such a bad DM. And then when you stop making the other thing and the other thing, and you haven't even made your map, then you feel awful, because you're like, wow, you got people depending on you that want to be your player. And there's the Mason campaign where you have 3D maps and music and art and whatever. But now you're not doing anything. Wow, you're terrible. This stops people from running games. Right? If this shit does not stop people from running games. Making this little stuff, this is easy. I bet you there are people that would enjoy this encounter. Like, oh shit, I'm gonna throw a goblin in the chasm. You can do anything here. The other stuff that's stopping people from running games, it's all of these tools, they're expensive. That's one thing. Like, if I need to pay subscriptions, if I need to buy stuff, buy books, buy internet, Patreon access, exclusive sub for tool access, that will stop you from running games, because every session will become so expensive that if you have a bad session, it will feel terrible. And then you look at your bank account, it's like, what the hell happened here? This is just warfare happened. And I didn't even get anything fun out of it. Number 2, it's time consuming. People's lives change. What do you know? People have stuff to do. They usually have jobs. They usually have other hobbies. They usually have friends and family. They might have pets. And life happens. And then if you gotta do all this extra shit to just play D&D, something that you are supposed to enjoy as a DM, then you stop running games and just try to, go to Roll20 or some other site to see if there's a game that you can be a player in. Some of these tools are hard or complex to use. This stops people from using them, and then they feel bad that they don't understand how the hell this hacking thing is supposed to be done and used. People are really good at what they do sometimes. People paint amazing maps. They use Photoshop. Some people even program their own macros, and that feels like actual wizardry to me, at least. If I would have had the expectation on myself to actually produce macros that are cool for every session, I would not be a DM. I'll tell you that. I would quit real quick. Last thing. Running games starts to become more about keeping track of random shit, honestly, than running. And that makes you a worse DM and less fun. If I'm more focused on the music, the software, the wiki, whatever it is, right? I'm not actually enjoying what's happening. If a player yeeted a goblin down the chasm, I should hoot, holler, and laugh, right? But if I'm more like, oh, I'm stressed about the music, while he's throwing the goblin, I can take a look at what's happening to this music software, and then, but if he throws the goblin down there, how do I use it in the tool? Stop, right? Just be present. Where are you? You're in the tool land, where all it becomes blurry and not fun. You have to remember that people are D&D. You and your players. That story that you create together, that's the core of it. What they are answering to your questions, that is role-playing games in a nutshell. And when I remember good moments about games that I have been either a DM, GM in, or a player, I think about what happened, people's reactions, and my feelings towards them. Right? How everything in my kind of fantasy head looked, how my character felt, how the NPCs reacted. That stuff. That's the game, right? If this would have been a memorable moment where the Goblin King was yeeted down the chasm, hey, I'm not gonna remember that the Goblin King was drawn on a shitty map on a little pad with a pencil, with not even the measure and correctness in sight. I'm just gonna remember that my character, Braun the Barbarian, picked up a goblin and yeeted him down the chasm. That's what I'm gonna remember. I seldom or never think about the following things when I remember good stuff about campaigns. Now this is individual to me, of course, but I think there's some crossover. Miniatures, I don't really care. Unless it's physical miniatures. That can be cool. I don't remember the mooks, not at all. The little lieutenants and whatever. You can have a Skittle as a miniature for those, all I care. However, big boss battles. If you pull out a fully painted Tiamat, I am in the zone. Music, I don't think about it. When we had a fight about a boss battle some time ago, I can't remember what music we played. Now it does add, subconsciously, I think, if you have some kind of music going on, but you don't need to craft your own music. Oh, well, if you're a bard, that's kind of cool. But if you're a DM, you just huck a playlist on. You're done. Don't do anything else. Just do some random fantasy, medieval, fairy forest, 4 hours. You're good. Maps. I don't remember the maps. Unless they were physical and cool. Very cool. And for thematic, cool encounters. I don't remember the maps one bit when it wasn't an important encounter in the story or the game. Okay, don't spend time on maps when it's just little mooks or random encounters or whatever. Just say like, hey, this is happening. These are the mooks. They're over there, sort of. And then you just play. Art. Good art can add to a game, but it's not necessary. I can remember something in my head about how a thing looked in the narrative, in the story, when we were playing this game that we play, without any art attached to it. And some situations, some happenings of games have been without art, and I remember them still to this day, right? Good. So the takeaway from this, save your energy for when it actually matters. If there is something cool in your story that comes up, think about the stuff that we talked about before, like, do I want to use this tool? What does it add? How much does it cost me, both in money and other stuff? And will it actually impact the game in a significant sense? If those are yeses, if you feel like, yeah, this will be cool. I'm going to buy this Tiamat mini because it's the final session in Rise of Tiamat, and I'm going to slam that mini down, all painted and cool, on this very cool map that I've prepared through physical terrain or whatever. then do it. That's going to be awesome. It's going to probably result in just awesomeness from your players as well. But don't do it every session. You're not a I was about to say monster, but in a positive term. Like monster as in you're just grinding every day. No, you are a person. So just chill. Save it for the important stuff. You don't have to do all that every time. I will frankly say I slack off some sessions, right? I'm just like, oh, they're gonna do nothing too important. And then cool stuff happens, but I don't need to prepare too much shit. Like sometimes I'm just like, I'm gonna draw something basic, and that's that. And funny sentence, splurge when needed. Don't just huck your money at your hobby without a care in the world. Money is important. You might want to save it to important stuff. A hobby can be important, but it can also be a drain for your financial situation. So save it and actually get the stuff that you want for when it's really needed. If you really like physical miniatures and terrain, save that stuff for when it's actually very important in the story. Then it will be very cool for you and for your players. But don't feel like you need to buy a whole miniature library of thousands of miniatures. Don't do that. Just save it for I know that they're going to face a dragon here. I'm going to buy a dragon. There you go. Most importantly, be present. All of these tools I feel can sometimes make us and myself less present in our games. I'm thinking more about the tool, the software, and whatever the hell it is than actually playing the game. And that shouldn't be what we're doing, because all the tools should add to the game, not take away my attention or the player's attentions from what we're actually doing. We don't need distractions. If it's distracting from your the game, toss it, get it away. If it's adding, keep it in there. If music is adding to everybody's feel of the game, and you feel like, I'm really invested, I'm really feeling the fantasy fairy forest 3-hour vibe, keep it in there. But if it's just you don't hear each other talk over Discord when fairy forest 3-hour is blasting in your headphones, turn it off. Important thing, and this is a caveat for the DM or GM specifically, if you don't see what your players are doing and acting, and see, I mean not just like perceive with your eyeballs or ear holes. I want attention directed to what the hell they're doing. Then what they're doing stops mattering. And this can affect the game very badly, because you won't remember what they're doing. You won't remember what is happening. And most importantly, which is the biggest job in GMing thing, react to what they're doing. If you don't know how to react. If you don't know what the hell they're done and what they're doing. If you have attention to what they're doing, you are going to figure out cool, creative ways of how to react to what the hell they're doing. But if you're more concerned about thinking about the music that's happening or something else, then you're not going to know how to react, or you don't know what has happened in your game. And we're playing this game to find out what's happening and how to react as a GM. So buy things that make you and your players feel like you're more present, more aware at the table, and that you're going to have a better game for it. Do not feel the need to build up these insurmountable mountains of criteria that you see big productions have. Just pen and paper, start there, maybe get a rule book, and then go from there. Speaking about, next video, we will look into how you can actually just start. So I know that there's a lot of cool YouTubers that have done this, but we will have a little caveat. Basically, how can you run games on a budget? So most of them have kind of done general game knowledge. Go to those people instead. Go to Matt Colville and just look up how the hell to run the game. All the theory stuff, leave to that guy and the other people. that are also cool. But when it comes to actual budget-wise running, I'm going to try to make a few videos to go through some things you could try. Like what's a good kind of gap in between each, like where to start, where to go next, what's next to, I don't know, buy, stuff like that. And just try to take you through some options. So hopefully I can help you with that. Anyway, this has been me, Marcus, and hopefully I'll see you at the next video.